These are the Nebutu floats of Aomori Prefecture. Each August, during the Nebutu Matsuri festival, these large floats are hoisted upon the shoulders of participants and carried through Aomori City. The floats traditionally depict Japanese legends of heroism or creation, and this tradition is considered one of Japan's important and intangible folk cultural properties and is one of the largest celebrated festivals across the entire country. But what is the festival's cultural significance? To answer this, we can look to the floats themselves. In this float, we see the Okinawan Rikyu legend of the goddess Ame-mikyo, who descended under a heavenly mandate to create the islands of Okinawa with her male counterpart. Together, they moved stones, warped tides, and planted seeds until Ame-mikyo's immaculate conception. With their children, they decided to stay on the islands and help humanity flourish. The floats are constructed by wrapping thin pieces of hoshigami paper around wooden and wire frames. The artists then use ink for the details, wax for the highlights, and an acrylic paint for the color. However, before any construction, these floats are conceptualized in narrative, most commonly using local folklore as a basis, as seen in this float here. During the feudal occupation of Japan and the birth of the early Heian period, the shogun that ruled over the Tohoku region, Tamuramaro, was tasked with conquering its indigenous peoples and their leader, Takamura. These people, known as the Emishi, fled for years, until Takamura was killed on Mount Iwaki, not far from modern-day Aomori City, and the Emishi people were conquered. Some years later, Tamuramaro's men were once again passing through Mount Iwaki, when in the midst of a dark swamp, Takamura returned as a verdant demon, seething with rage and looking to avenge the conquering of his peoples. However, Tamuramaro made quick work of Takamura once again, and was depicted as a heroic battle, displaying his colonial and spiritual powers for his men. At this time, near 11 AD, the shogun began to spread stories similar to this one to demonize indigenous people and promote their own bravery and power. However, they weren't the only ones telling stories in Aomori Prefecture. "25 miles southwest of Aomori City, this is Mount Iwaki, the same place that Takamura's people, the Emishi, were attacked by the shogunate. Shortly after that, the town at the base of the mountain, now known as Onizawa, began to tell stories of a demon so big he can climb over mountains, but nothing was harsh about him. Rather than evil, vengeful spirits that the shogun portrayed, this demon was a kind-hearted farming god. Legend says that a young boy named Yajiro would often spend his times in the forest of Mount Iwaki as becoming friends with a large demon who lived on one of the mountain's peaks. One year, the farmers in town were struggling in the midst of a drought, on the brink of starvation, and Yajiro, being the son of a farmer, told his troubles to his demon friend on top of a daimyo oak in the middle of the apple field. Then, when night fell, the demon entered town, and with his excellent farming skills, dug a waterway at the base of the mountain to save the townspeople. In honor of this, the people in Onizawa build shrines and celebrate demons, inviting them in as spirits of good. Even the name Onizawa derives from the Japanese term for demon, Oni. These are some of the only shrines in Japan where you can see farming tools as symbols of worship. According to local oral history, it's most likely that this demon, portrayed in Onizawa's legends, was one of, or at least symbolizes, the few Emishi people living in the area after the shogun's attack. The kind-hearted farming god portrayed by the town of Onizawa may be seen as a counter-narrative to the shogunate folklore description of the Emishi. Folklore within the Tohoku region is so prominent that it often blends with history. The Nebata Matsuri festival's origins themselves have been lost and become some sort of folklore. There are many theories surrounding the origin of the festival, but some believe it is a celebration of Shogun Tamura Maro's conquering of the indigenous peoples. Even the flutes and taiko drum you're hearing now are supposedly what the shogun would use to distract his enemies on the battlefield. While this story is paraded in front of millions, the story of Onizawa's kind-hearted demon, at least for now, is tucked away through apple fields and unpaved mountain roads.